This is Blugold News Now, your spot for current events, campus news, and everything in between. Now live from Tower Studio, it's BNN with your hosts, Elizabeth Lindahl and Samantha Burnett.
Good evening, I'm Samantha Burnett.
And I'm Elizabeth Lindahl.
Coming up tonight, a final look at Puxatawny Phil's shenanigans.
A special reporter and senior spotlight.
And your weekly recap of Blugold sports on BNN Blitz.
But first, a popular Eau Claire attraction is back for the summer. Last weekend, marking the return of the farmers market to Eau Claire, the market is hosted downtown Saturday mornings from 7:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. through November. In June, the market will be adding on hours Wednesday mornings and Thursday evenings. The market taking place at Phoenix Park in downtown. It has an assortment of local produce, breads, meats, and more available. You can also find music and children's activities on some days.
This past weekend, the Pablo hosted a few plays and musicals, but tomorrow there is something different. Friday and Saturday at 7:30 p.m., the Jam Theater will host the Confluence Dance Project. The event features choreography by faculty, guest artists, and students from the dance program. Tickets are available at pablocenter.org, at the box office, or online. Discounted tickets are available for students, faculty, and CVTC students with a school ID.
Well, BNN will be right back after this break.
Stick around for your weather forecast and an update on Blugold sports on BNN Blitz.
B5.
Well, I got a 7, so +2.
This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, we should probably read the directions next time.
Probably. You know what does make sense? Game show. Hi, I'm Abe.
And I'm Somerset.
We're the host of the game show.
If you want to see us play more games like this, or Jeopardy!
Or The Price is Right.
Check us out on mytv10.uwec.edu.
And if you ever want to be in one of our episodes, make sure to scan the QR code somewhere on the screen. Peace.
Welcome to BNN Blitz. I'm Andrew Thaler.
And I'm Michael Watson with your weekly recap of Blugold sports action.
The University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire men's and women's track and field team both finished second at the WIAC Outdoor Championships on Saturday at Titan Stadium. The Blugolds produced several conference champions on both days of the meet. On day one, Tommy Mesnick won the men's javelin with a throw of 54.79 meters. The Blugolds men and women then had 5 other placed top 3 in the conference on day 2. Blake Postler, Jacob Ekue, and Adam Shrove all won WIAC titles on the final day of the meet. Postler finished the 400 meters hurdles in 52.6 seconds to win his first outdoor conference title as a Blugold. Ekue set a new WIAC championship record with a throw of 58.45 meters in the discus, and Shrove won the shot put with a throw of 18.04 meters. The Blugolds also on day 2 had 23 total athletes from men and women to place in the top 3. The UW-Eau Claire men finished with 149 points, while the women tallied 148.16. UW Lacrosse won both men's and women's titles. Some Blugolds will compete at the St. Francis Fighting Chance Invite on May 9th, while others will compete at the UW Lacrosse Eagle Open the same day.
The Blugolds football team hosted their annual end-of-year banquet last night. One coach stood out, being named the winner of the Aid and Margaret Olson Award, an award for assistant coaches who give their time and effort to student athletes and growing passion and effort for learning the game they coach. Assistant coach Ricky Lang of the Blugolds football team was able to be named for this honor and celebrate it with his team. Lang, the defensive line coach, will now look to gear up for the next season and help the Blugolds bounce back after a tough 2024 season. Blugold football will return in the fall, with their first game being on Thursday, September 4th at Carson Park, where they will take on the Pioneers of Carroll University.
The University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire softball team fell to number 18 UW Oshkosh in both games of a WIAC doubleheader on Sunday. The Titans won 5-1 in Game 1 before taking the second Game 3. Paige Lathrop was responsible for the only run scored on the day for the Blugolds, which was an RBI single. Lauren Trottier pitched 4 innings in Game 1. She also allowed 3 runs and struck out 1. Kira Schubert started in the circle and worked 3 2/3 innings. She allowed 2 earned runs and struck out 1. Trottier pitched 2.1 scoreless innings in relief the Bluegolds closed out the regular season with 27-13 record overall and a 7-7 mark in the WIAC. They earned the number 3 seed for the WIAC tournament later this week. The Bluegolds begin the postseason with the opening day of the WIAC tournament on Friday, May 9th. They take on 6-seeded UW-Stevens Point in the second game of the tournament at 2:30 at Whitewater. The winner of the game between the Bluegolds and Pointers will take on second-seeded UW Oshkosh on Saturday, May 10th.
The Bluegolds women golf team took on the UW Stout Spring Invite this past Sunday, held at Tanglewood Greens. The Bluegolds were led by junior Gillian Johnson and sophomore Lily Kaminsky, who carded 81 to earn a tie for 9th place. Notable efforts from sophomore Elizabeth Herman and junior Bree Novak, who tied in 31st, notching a scorecard of 87. As a team, they scored 52 over par, good enough to grant them 4th place out of 11 teams and a season best score on the year. This was their last tournament of the year, and the Bluegolds women's golf look to albatross those greens next season and come back swinging.
That's all for the world of Bluegold Sports. I'm Andrew Thaller.
And I'm Michael Watson. Back to you, Sam and Elizabeth.
Thank you, Sam and Elizabeth. Good evening. I'm Evan Rosnick with your weather report tonight. Well, we're reaching the end of the semester here with only a week left until we're done with school for a few months. It feels like only a few days ago that we were trying to figure out if Puxatawny Phil was going to bring us spring or keep us in winter, but now it's already starting to feel like summer. I guess Phil really just wants you to help you all succeed on your upcoming finals by giving you relaxing weather for the coming week. With that being said, let's get into the weather. It's the beginning of May and we're already starting to feel the summer heat. We had an average temperature today of 67 degrees with a high of 72 and a low of 40. Today, however, was just the precursor to what we'll be feeling over the next week. We're definitely going to be feeling the summer heat going into finals week with temperatures mostly in the 80s and sun all around, so don't forget that sunscreen. Friday will ease us into the week with a high of 80 degrees and a low of 53 degrees. Saturday may have some clouds in store, but the heat is going to keep coming with a high of 83 and a low of 55. Sunday should be the peak of the heat we experience this week, ringing in at a high of 88 degrees and a low of 58 degrees. Of course, they don't call it Sunday for no reason, as there will be a lot of sunshine that will carry over into Monday. Along with that sunshine, Monday will have a high of 86 and a low of 60, cooling down a little bit from the day before. Tuesday will cool down to a high of 82 and a low of 61, with a few clouds that may or may not be responsible for that lower temperature. On Wednesday, we'll get some clouds that are also responsible for the cool down, reaching a high of 81 degrees and a low of 60 degrees. Since this is the last time I'll be reporting for you this semester, we're going to go look even farther ahead by about 2 days to round off the week for those of you who, like me, still have finals on Friday. Let's just pretend there are 2 more slots over here for that. Thursday should be mostly sunny with a high of 76 and a low of 55, and Friday will round off the cool down by being partly cloudy with a high of 74 degrees and a low of 52 degrees. Hopefully that kind of weather will help you make it all the way through your finals, even if you don't have any somehow, which I am definitely jealous of. Now to get back to the meteorological calm before the metaphorical storm of finals week, the region around us is currently sitting in the 60s. Eau Claire is currently at about 65 degrees, which is the same story for Menominee. Going a bit north to Chippewa Falls will cool down to 63 degrees, but if you go southeast to Lake City or Red Wing, Minnesota, you'll be feeling a nice 66 degrees. Minneapolis is also at 66 degrees, and Bloomington is 1 degree warmer at 67 degrees. Well, that's the weather for this semester. Since we're not running our show until next semester, I'd like to wish you all good luck on your finals, except for those of you, like Sam, who somehow managed to not have a single one, and all of you, regardless of your final schedule, I hope you have a great summer. I'd also like to thank you for joining me for the weather this semester. Shout out to Connor, who has allegedly watched all of our episodes this semester, to recent super staffer Sounds Evan for filling in for me, Evan, last week, to the rest of the BNN crew who is behind the camera here for welcoming me to their team for the weather this semester, to Mia for bringing me into the TV10 studio during the open house where I discovered that there was an open weather position, and of course, the legend, Puxatawny Phil, whom I would not be able to do this segment without. I've had a lot of fun with this, and I'm hoping you'll all join me next year for some more fun weather shenanigans. With all of that said, it's about time for me to send it back to your BNN hosts for the last time this semester. With your BNN weather, I'm Evan Rosnick. Back to you, Elizabeth and Sam.
Do you need the closer? It's time. Bring in the closer. Alright, listen. Multiple choice versus short answer. Watch the curveball on question 8, alright? This teacher's a hard grader and it's a trick question, alright? Canvas is yours.
Thanks, Evan. We have a special segment for you all tonight. With tonight being our final show for the semester, we wanted to highlight some of our incredible TV10 members.
We first wanted to highlight our own Cora Letterer, who has been a reporter for us this year. Cora, welcome to Post Show for the first time.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
Yes, well, we just wanted to ask you a few questions. So first off, what has been one of the stories you've worked on for BNN?
Oh, I worked on a couple stories. I did one for Murder on the Orient Express earlier this year. I had one for, not Bark Breaks, that was someone else's, but I'm trying to remember. That one's probably the one that most sticks out to me.
Yeah. What were some of the aspects you liked with doing the Murder on the Orient Express one? Like, what made it your favorite?
That one was probably one of my my first stories that I had ever done. So it was definitely learning the ropes. I remember Sam came over to the Pablo to help me out with that one. That's why it sticks out to me, learning everything. It was all new. Yeah. I did an interview with Jennifer Chapman, that was the director for that show. And then I got some B-roll of the building itself, some of the actors during rehearsal, and that was just a lot of fun. Doing that for the first time and learning something new.
Yeah. So what is your major?
Okay, so I'm an organizational communications major.
Awesome. So what made you want to join BNN even though you're not necessarily a journalism major?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So I'd always thought about, trying it out, being part of like TV, that type of stuff. In high school, I had done a lot of like public speaking. I wanted to give this a try. This is something that we never had the opportunity to do over in high school. And I'd wanted to try it out since my freshman year here at college, but I didn't have the courage to go in. I didn't know anyone coming into the area. But the organization, I should say. And I decided, you know what, we're going to do it junior year. This will be the year to try it out. And I tried it, and I had a lot of fun. Met a lot of really great people.
Yeah. So what's one thing specifically from your time here that you learned from BNN that you'll be able to take on with you even though you're not that journalism major?
Yeah, absolutely. For starters, I would say making a public document, not technically publishing, but public speaking document style. I'd never worked with cameras before, so that was something I'd learned a lot about, either behind the scenes, setting up the camera for either B-roll, going different places, or in the studio working behind the camera. I learned a lot about tech, so audio, that type of stuff. I'd seen people do that before with microphones, doing theater in high school, but I had never done it myself. So it was kind of nice to see that on the other end.
Yeah. So here's a fun one. What is one of your favorite memories from BNN specifically, or just TV10 in general?
BNN specifically, probably joking around with you both before the show, hanging out, making jokes, catching up about our day, stuff like that. As far as TV10 goes, overall, I had a lot of fun. I did some sort of segment, I believe it was Handful or something like that, where we did the blind teleprompter read, and we got points for laughing or stuff like that. That was a lot of fun, reading the silly stuff off of the teleprompter, as well as listening to some of the other silly stuff that people were saying. So that was a lot of fun, and not knowing, who's gonna have to drink the pilk at the end, which was Elizabeth.
That was me, guys. Best part is David did it as a punishment, and my sister had already made me drink pilk on several different occasions. Shout out to the University of Purdue for teaching her that. So when David told me I had to do it, I was like, okay, whatever. This is nothing.
For reference, pilk is Pepsi and milk mixed together, right?
Yes.
Yes. You did it like a champ. You were great.
It tasted a lot like a root beer float, but with Pepsi instead.
I could kind of see that, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the next question we have is just what's one piece of advice you have for the next group of BNN reporters?
My next piece of advice would be to just try it. I was obviously, as I mentioned, a little apprehensive about joining the organization, but it was a lot of fun. I did learn a lot of different types of skills. I would just say try the different roles, do audio, do camera, do tech. I felt like the teleprompter is a little scary, you don't want to mess it up for the people who's reading it off, working behind the stage. And so doing that, I'd say don't be so stressed out about like doing the different roles. People over in the back, very helpful. They're very friendly. Ask them for help if you need it.
Yeah, well, thank you. We really appreciate all your hard work that you've done in your time here at BNN, and we will definitely miss you. We really loved having you on and on our team, and thank you for all the work you've done.
It's been really great to see you grow from your first week to now. I mean, I actually went back and rewatched the original episode, your first episode, to seeing you last week, and it's just been an incredible growth, and I've loved seeing you. I will say you won Handful News Now was a very fun moment. That whole episode was very fun. But we'll be back right after this break with some senior spotlights.
Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Leo, and I host Home Screen at TV10. Every other week, I bring you the best gaming content, reviews, news, and video game clips. If you're a gamer, this show is made for you. Tune in at mytv10.uwec.edu or on our YouTube channel, UWEC TV10.
We now wanted to take a moment to talk with some of our seniors about their time here with TV10.
Joining us now are Handful host David and game show host Somerset. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Yeah. For real. That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, when did you first join TV10, and what have you done overall throughout your time in TV10?
I first joined TV10 my freshman year of college because I was bored, and I'm not even joking. I think it was Oscar who was at the booth and said, "Do you want to use expensive equipment?" And I said yes, and now I've been here because I continuously get to use expensive equipment, and for some reason I'm trusted with that like 60% of the time. But during my time here, I started on the creative team under Aaron, and then it became Jay, and then I left because it was Jay. I'm just kidding. I became the Handful host, and I've just been there since. It's been fun. I've enjoyed it, and so I've just kept doing it.
All right. Yeah, I only joined last spring. I haven't been here for that long. I joined because David had been bugging me for like literal years, and I had that's literal years. And then I was also kind of bored because I didn't have much. I finally had free time, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'll join. And then I got game show host position, and then I'm here now. So
Yeah. Well, what has been your guys' favorite memories from TV10?
I guess one of the first things that comes to mind is I think one of the first like projects that I was in TV10 was David and the old game show hosts a mega show of Survivor. I had been asked like very last second to come and do it because our other old BNN host Alex couldn't, and they were like, do you want to do this? And I was like, heck yeah, I do. So it was a fun day of just kind of messing around while also making the show, and then also got to make graphics for it, which was super cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say one of my favorite parts of being in TV10, if that was the question, because I can't remember it for the life of me after listening, is just doing my show because it's really fun. I got a reputation of not really knowing what I'm doing, but secretly I have planned out a great deal of it. That's probably a lie. No, I have a couple shows that I actually planned out. A couple, just a few. And I love every single time. Getting everyone who comes on is so great. I enjoy having people on, and I just get to goof around. But it's recorded, so when I make mistakes, like fall into TVs and I don't know, say random stuff because I have no filter sometimes, it's just recorded permanently and haunts me for the rest of my life. So it's kind of fun to look back at those moments and enjoy them again with all the people that came on.
Yeah, definitely excited to see your guys' senior spotlight videos.
Yeah, those are gonna be fun.
I'm quite scared.
I'm the one making his.
That's even better. That makes
I
it
didn't
even
know
better.
that. That's even scarier.
It's gonna turn out amazing.
Oh boy.
Well, we can't wait to see those on Sunday.
Yes.
But obviously, you guys are graduating at the end of next week. So what's next for you guys? Or do we not know yet? What do we hope to be doing?
I have applied to 12 schools now and only interviewed at 2 and only heard back from 1 and there was a denial. But hopefully Eau Claire School District is just really slow at everything it does because it's such a big district, and I will hear back from them soon, hopefully. But in general, just teaching at a school is the plan. Maybe I honestly am moving towards middle school as my plan, but I was originally just high school. But either works. Anywhere that pays me, honestly.
Yeah. And with that, I wanted to ask, I don't remember, is there like a specific
subject?
That's the word, subject you're teaching? Or?
I am a science man through and through. I have always liked science and will continue to like science.
Nice.
The rest of them are decent, I guess, except for like maybe math. I can't do math.
Yeah. Is that why you have on your geology shirt today?
It is. My sister got me this for Christmas. Not that she actually watches any show on TV 10. But thanks, Megan. It is too large still. Because she hadn't seen me in like a year and thought I had grew more. So it is quite a bit bigger on me. But my rock, paper, scissors, rocks always win is my most sciencey shirt I have. So I thought I decided to wear it.
Nice.
This was what we're doing afterwards,
yeah.
right? So I'm kind of just gonna do it really anything with art. I'm an illustration major, so I've looked at some graphic design jobs. I've looked at some other illustration jobs. But right now, two of the things that I'm especially going for, not really related to art, more related to kind of like the stuff we do with TV 10. One of them is I'm waiting for an interview time to work on 2 short films in my hometown, actually. So crossing my fingers to help with the film production of that as an assistant. And then the other one is actually with WEAU, finishing up that application for a creative producer stuff. So we'll see. Who knows what's going to happen? Other than that, I'm just going to see where the wind takes me with art stuff. Probably I'll do some freelancing. Maybe I'll become an art teacher because I don't need a teaching license. I just need an art degree. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah. Well, we hope to see both of you guys around Eau Claire and maybe even back here around the studio in the future.
Yeah. Kind of moving along then, what's one piece of advice you guys have for those that want to join TV 10?
Just join. It's fun. You kind of get to do so many different things. And maybe you're like, oh, I don't really want to be in front of camera. We have so much stuff behind camera to do. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be stuck in one position. Like, just join, try as many things as you want. That's kind of what I've done. Like, I've done hosting, I've done ad team, did some directing this semester, did some programming. Like, I've just been hopping around in the year that I've been here. And it's fun, and I wish I would have joined sooner.
The biggest advice that I can give to anybody who wants to join is that you get to mess with really expensive equipment, and they trust you with that. It is actually really fun. I actually found love with the soundboard. I really enjoy it. I don't know why. There's something about just like moving knobs and turning them up and down and pressing buttons that puts me in like a 3-year-old state, and I have a really good time doing it. But like Somerset said, just jumping into it. If you don't, I always say you got to try it at least once. If you don't like it, no one's going to stop you from leaving. Like, we're not going to, like, I don't know, close the door and lock it. I'm just the one that's not allowed to leave. I'm just kidding. No, it's really good. Just jump in and try it. You get expensive stuff you'll probably never touch the rest of your life, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, what's something that you learned in TV 10 that you will actually be able to apply in your post-grad life besides playing with a soundboard like a 3-year-old?
It's fun. You gotta try it. I actually found something when I became a show host. I learned something about myself that I did not know, and I've actually been applying now as a teacher. I really, really hate scripts. If you know me at all, I really, really hate it. I prefer a very loose outline that I can just do whatever I want with, trying to think of a word that is not popping in my head. Freelance around it, I guess. I don't know. I suppose. I like having a loose outline. So when I'm writing my lesson plans for the day, it's just bullet pointed on what I want to hit and maybe one bullet point of reminder underneath it, like a subscript bullet point. And then I just rattle that off and hope for the best. And I learned that I probably would have tried writing a script for myself more had I not written scripts here and everybody tell me my scripts were really bad. I'm not joking. That was an actual discussion that I should switch to bullet points, which I did.
Dang. That's kind of rough.
I guess at least you learned now.
Yeah.
Very true.
You learned improv, which is going to be real helpful if you're teaching high schoolers, but even more so middle schoolers.
I feel like I should clarify that my scripts weren't like bad, but I just didn't follow them. I realized I didn't clarify that enough. I don't stick to a script very well. So people said my scripts were bad because I couldn't follow them on my own. So I switched to bullet points. I was not told I'm a bad writer. That did not happen. People look offended back there. So I needed to clarify.
Maybe you secretly are a bad writer.
Oh, I definitely am.
I kid. I mean, your spelling does show that, but it's easy though. I guess getting back to the topic, I found out that I really like working with all of the equipment in the studio, which if I hadn't joined, like, I wouldn't have been applying for the film job or WEAU because, like, I'm an art major. I was probably just going to do graphic design or something. I'm a little tired of that right now. But this allowed me to work with all of this different stuff. And now I've kind of learned how to do it. And now I can go and do more stuff with film, which I really like now.
So we heard David's favorite piece of equipment here is the soundboard. What is your favorite piece of equipment that we have here?
I think it's between soundboard and the cameras, because I used to do a lot of audio for theater productions at my high school, so I had already kind of known about it, and I was like, ooh, look, it's all the sliders again and the pretty buttons. But I'd never worked with cameras, and so just being able to like swing them around and zoom in, especially like during stream team and the sports and stuff, like hockey, being able to just follow the hockey puck and being like, wow, it's like a different pair of eyes, just kind of woo. But it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, that's all that we have for you tonight.
Join us next semester for more news and sports updates.
And make sure to check us out on mytv10.uwec.edu and at UWEC on Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. For the last time this semester, I'm Elizabeth Lindahl.
And I'm Samantha Burnett. Thank you and good night.
Bye-bye.